We've been talking a lot about the chess boxing, but you guys are first and foremost content creators, and you've been streaming for a while. I want to talk about your beginnings in that world. And you started this family business, Alexandra.
The family business, yes.
It is a family business.
It is now. Actually, we've had a lot of family
it's the mafia.
streams.
Like
Exactly.
they don't need to know.
Yeah.
Type of family business.
Yeah, I mean, I started it as a hobby, and chess was always something I really liked, and then it grew into a lot more than that, and I went full time onto it when I only had like 200 viewers or so. And then I started getting Andrea into it, and I convinced her to not go to college and come join the channel. As you can imagine, the parents were very excited about that.
But they're happy now.
I think you, Andrea, were streaming on a different channel. Yeah, you had your own channel.
Yeah, I was like, I was 15.
Playing
I
around.
didn't really know what I was doing. I started my own account. And then, it only happened because of the pandemic. Because otherwise, there's no way we would have been in the same house streaming together. And they're like, wait, like, we're so similar. We do the same thing. Let's
I
just
think
merge.
I think it would have happened regardless, because at the time I pushed Andrea to make her own channel, and then I was thinking of bringing her on. So I would have suggested that you do that regardless.
Really? I want. In my head, the merge wouldn't have happened with the pandemic.
No,
it was like the
I would have
alignment of
told you
events.
should come try to join regardless.
Interesting.
But the
it helped
pandemic
that you
made it
guys were
easier.
together in the same
Yeah.
house,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Because
Yeah.
I came to stay home.
Because I didn't really, I was also really young. I was in high school. I was planning to go to college. But I didn't really like solo streaming that much. I was also, didn't even know anything about Twitch. But I think I really started enjoying it when we started doing things together more often.
And the interesting thing I've noticed about Andrea is for the past 3 years or so, she applied to college because she really wanted to go. And now she finally decided she's done with that. And it's been the year that I've seen her take content the most seriously.
That is
Whereas
actually, that's a
before,
nice
I felt like I always had to
observation.
kind of push you a
I
little
didn't really
bit.
think about, yeah,
But
that's the
now
thing.
you've been
Yeah.
pushing yourself, and it's nice. It's nice.
So you were like dabbling with the idea of pursuing different paths?
I was, for the last, I took 2 or 3 gap years, and I kept reapplying. We
Andrea
moved to
just
Austin.
loves college essays. It's a big hobby of hers.
It was so consuming, and I hated it, but I kept doing it because I was 100% set on going to school. Because that was my dream ever since I was young. I was like, I have to go to university. I want to get the college experience. And we moved to Austin, so I went and got into UT Austin Business Honors. Then we moved to LA. Then I got into UCLA. And then I kept switching schools, and then I realized that's not actually what I want. And it was, big talk with the parents, big identity crisis. But I figured out that
Did you
I don't
actually
want
attend any classes?
No.
or-
Oh, well, I snuck into Stanford for
Stanford.
fun and went to a class, but not I never went to college, no.
Was it any particular thing that convinced you that you don't want to pursue that?
Yeah, it was a lot of things. Mainly, it's what am I going to use my degree? Like practicality, I'm not going to use my degree for my job. Like this, I like working on our business. There's so many ways we can take it. I'm learning so many things. The second reason was, the social pressure to have the regular college experience, because that's what everyone my age is enjoying doing. And I kind of felt sometimes like I was missing out on the youth since I was, working. And also everyone in my industry is like 10 years older, which I like now. And the third reason was just pressure from my parents because they're Romanian immigrants. And it took them a
Christian
long
might
time.
understand the mentality.
Took them a long time to accept. And my mom and I tell my mom, if there's a subject later down the road that I really love and I'm really passionate about, this is something that is very dependent on the time and taking the momentum, but studying and finding interesting subjects you can do at any point in life.
And for you, Alexandra, actually, that was a big decision as well. But you actually went through 4 years of college. Did you finish? You finished Stanford.
Yeah,
right?
I finished. I actually wanted to take a gap year before going to college to study chess just because I really liked it and I was never able to fully focus on it. But my parents really wanted me to go to school, and they were upset that I didn't take a chess scholarship at UTD, actually. But yeah, no, I did go through college, and then before streaming, I worked on my own company, and we raised, and we did that for 3 years. And then when it failed, I just moved to New York alone and started chess streaming.
I remember we were talking about that in 2018 in Baku, actually.
Oh yeah.
And you just raised like $1 million or something
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that in
2016, must have been.
2016.
You raised
Was
$1 million?
it 2016? Really?
Yeah, almost.
So what happens with their money? They just don't get it back.
exactly.
Cool.
Yeah.
So
It was
that's
Q,
how-
Q Combinator? Or?
We did Y Combinator as
Oh, Y
well,
Combinator.
but
Yeah.
we raised from a company called Lightspeed.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean overall we raised like 800 something thousand.
But I think that was
Yeah. But
something that you were really excited
Yeah,
about.
I remember because I was at the Olympiad, and that's when I was on the call with the investors, and they're like, yeah, we're going to do it. And then I was going to go back for my final year at Stanford. And then we were working on the company and doing that. Shout out to my co-founder who just started his second company, and he's going to kill it.
But
You-
that was still a huge experience boost for you, I think. Just
Yeah.
meeting a lot of people in the VC world, just knowing how to pretty much bring a brand together. Was that something that you feel helped with Botez Live as well?
I think it's something that helped tremendously because even things like Botez Abroad, which we did our travel show, and that got like some of our best numbers over a period of a month. That process is like you put together a proposal, you put together the financials, you pitch it to Twitch, you see if they want to do it. And it's a lot of skills that I was already familiar with. And the other thing I like to do as a hobby is invest in companies. And I'm doing more and more of that, or like doing advisory, especially startups in the creator space. So it's kind of like mixing the passion for creative things and also the skills I learned in the startup world. But you know what? I wish it hadn't failed.
Mm. One door closed and one door definitely open
Yeah,
for you.
exactly, exactly. I actually think because the startup failed, I was so scared of failing twice in a row on streaming that I was so determined. I kind of miss it because you're so hungry and you're so passionate. And when you have no plan B, it's one of those exhilarating highs, kind of like a fight. Like you can't lose. Losing is so
Yeah.
bad.
Mm-hmm.
So when did you see the potential that it would grow into something really big?
When I decided to go full-time into chess streaming, it was actually interesting. So at Y Combinator, they talk about how it's better to have 100 people who love your idea than 1,000 people who like it. And it's really good to start with a small niche and monopolize it. And that's kind of what chess streaming was. Nobody knew if the market would grow for sure, but the people who watch chess and the people who like chess really, really love it, and they were super supportive. So it's one of those things where, you know, it'll work at least as good as like some product management job for the short term, but long term, I think this can grow as a market. And if it does, being here first and already having that is going to be a huge boost. That being said, got super lucky with what happened after in the chess boom, and when it happened, I was so excited. I was like crying of tears.
So it was already your business experience that alerted you to the different factors in the chess community that might make it like something with a lot of growth, and then everything else made it explode.
It definitely helped, and I talked to a lot of my friends who are more entrepreneurial, and they were the only supportive ones. Everybody else, including one of my own investors, was like, you need to go into the real world at some point. And everybody who didn't understand it was like, you're just doing chess? So
Did that motivate you?
Oh,
Those type of
hell.
words?
Oh yeah, I find it so funny.
But it's interesting that like we find it normal that like something like Dota,
Yeah.
you know, people will love to watch that, and then it was always, chess is something for nerds. So, but we found out that yeah, people like to watch Dota, but they also like to watch chess and other games, and chess it has an appeal that it's not just a very niche thing.
Yeah, and I think it was something more than that too, because the typical advice you get if you're a founder and you fail is like, go work at a company in an industry that you want to start a company in the future. So going into content or going into chess, people would just kind of look down on, because like, who really cares that much about content? Who really cares that much about chess? So I actually got super lucky, because then, you know, flash forward a year to 2 years later, chess is booming and creator economy is one of the hottest topics. So I did kind of luck out in that sense.
And that is something that caught me by surprise, because we actually met in 2019 at the finals of the Pro Chess League.
Yeah.
And we chatted a bit about that, and you were doing streaming, and you said that you don't want to do this for a very long time.
That's so funny.
And then immediately you just exploded, basically, and then that was all she wrote.
Well, I think when it was, I don't want to do streaming for a very long time, I told myself that if things aren't growing or they're not really exciting, I'm not going to stay for it. It has to be doing very well, or I'm going to hop on to the next thing, because I really needed that adrenaline.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because if the goal isn't big enough and you could work on anything, it's just not exciting.
So in 2019, I was also at that tournament. It was, it was before the pandemic. Before, I mean, we had no idea any of this would happen, but at that point, you still had your major doubts. And
I'm glad you guys are telling me this because I don't really remember what I was thinking.
no, I don't
then.
remember this. I'm just like going off of what you said. I don't think we spoke. We spoke.
I think we spoke a little bit. I remember sitting next to you at the Pro Chess League.
Yeah, I very vaguely remember that tournament. I
Yeah,
only
yeah,
remember
yeah.
playing. It was a very cool esport event,
Yeah.
but I don't remember anything else besides the playing.
I remember you were doing commentary, I think, right?
Yeah, I was doing interviews.
The interviews after
Yeah.
that.
Oh yeah, you did interview me at that tournament,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Now it's coming back, starting to come back.
Yeah, no, I was doing interviews there.
Yeah, and I remember at some point you started speaking Chinese, and I was like, "What?
Oh yeah,
What is happening?"
I did one of the interviews in Mandarin, and I think I probably butchered it, but I just
That's
thought it would be
awesome.
cool to try.
Do you remember who you interviewed in Mandarin?
It was
the
the
Chinese team,
the
the
pandas.
pandas.
But like,
I don't remember which of the
Okay.
players it was because I did multiple ones. It was
Mhm.
like 3 different players.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's very cool. They must have been really surprised.
The thing is, I was able to ask the question, and then the follow-ups were really rough, but it's okay.
No, I did not understand what's happening, so I'm sure everybody was like as amazed as we were.